Greetings, Ranger fans, and welcome to another edition of Database Rangers Power Reviews, where we take a look back at our classic episodes of Database Rangers Power Reviews as we count down the 100 weeks to the 100th and final episode. And yes, Sean, there are only 34 weeks left until the end. We are very quickly counting down. So welcome, Sean. Welcome, Vandalia. Good to see you. Welcome, Jenny. I hope that you're all having a good week. And yes, welcome to February break for all of those of you who are going on break from school. So this is the beginning of my 1 week vacation from teaching. So I'm going to be doubling, tripling, quadrupling, quintupling down on getting my editing done across the course of this week. Progress at 96 on 96 has continued to be slow and steady. But I'm getting to a point where I think I should be able to finally, knocking on wood, make an announcement for a release date. So I'm looking to hopefully be making that announcement during the course of this weekend. I just want to see how a few more pieces come together before I, jump the gun on announcing things. But yeah, Scott, we're hitting the 2/3 mark after tonight. It's crazy. Welcome, Nightwing Josh. But yes, I filmed some more pickup shots this week to sort of fill in what I'm editing with right now. Really, the main stuff that's left is the conclusion stuff. Is the bits where I need to really work on some of the effects shots and so that I can get those together. They're just. They are relying on other things that I need to finish creating before I can finish shooting those last little bits. But I do know that Nightwing Josh, sorry to hear about your dad in the hospital. I certainly hope he feels better soon. But sorry, derailed my train of thought for a moment there. I do know that we have received the official announcement regarding Power Rangers Dino Fury, so it is coming back. It is dropping on Netflix, the first half of it, on March 3rd. So my big goal right now is to make sure that I can get 96 out before March 3rd. So that's my goal. I'm going to see how I'm doing on that as the weekend progresses. Because I've got some deeper looks and rapid run-throughs to get to, apparently, in under 2 weeks. So yeah, things are happening quick. I know there were a lot of big reveals in that promo. I haven't watched it to kind of keep myself spoiler-free as best as I can, so I can have a genuine reaction when I'm doing the when I go to write the rapid run-throughs and deeper looks. I have heard that there is a new theme song, but I haven't heard the new theme song yet. I have caught glimpses of a very specific costume that I was not expecting to see for that season, so we'll see what that looks like, and how they'll be utilizing it. So there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff, I'm sure, with the new season of Dino Fury, and I'm hoping that they continue to ramp things up. I felt like the first season pretty heavily leaned more into the setup side of things, so I'm hoping that season 2 is going to give us a lot of payoff. Even the finale of season 1 still felt like it was just sort of the end of the beginning, rather than a conclusion unto itself. So I'm hoping that things continue to ramp up and we get to see everything sort of falling into place in terms of what they've been setting up. Okay, so it was just the visuals that were updated, not the theme song? Alright, I had heard that I thought I saw somebody say that the theme song had changed, but I guess they were just referring to changes in the credits, so I apologize if I jumped the gun on that one. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. I'd only been seeing people commenting on it, and apparently I misinterpreted somebody's comment there. Yeah, I can't believe it's coming out so fast. No, I mean it's a reasonable time for it to be released, but it's just kind of creeping up on me, especially since I still have, I still have so much work to do on finishing up 96 right now, and then getting 97 rolling, and 98. So having to do 97 and while also doing the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs, considering how tight 96 has been running the entire time, it's going to be a challenge. I'm hoping that I should be able to rise to that challenge. At the very least, I think that 97 should be simpler to film than 96 has been. And 96 has already been simpler to film than 95 was, but I think that 96 might actually, 97 might actually even be a little bit simpler to film. There'll still be exciting stuff happening, and plenty of crazy stuff going on there, just in terms of shot variety. I think is going to hopefully help me make it through 97 while working on those rapid run-throughs and deeper looks. If I can manage to get 97 filmed in its entirety during March, then that should allow me to stay on schedule, but it is going to be tight with the added videos, with the return of Dino Fury. And then, after 97, big episodes are going to be happening after that, so at the very least, hopefully I'll be, done with the deeper looks and rapid run-throughs before I need to get into the final 3, which are going to be massive. Sorry for the misdirect on there, Jenny. All right, so let's settle in for what everybody came here to see, which is, of course, the pizza party back again. Now, before we do, let us not forget our 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat, Black Lives Matter. Number 2, say it with me, chat, fascism is bad. And number 3, say it with me, chat, superheroes are fun. So let's check in with our favorite superhero, one, Mr. Database Ranger, as we dive into episode 66 of Database Ranger's Power Reviews. Our review of Power Rangers Jungle Fury, episode 27, Tigers Fall, Lions Rise. And
previously on Power Review, you were sent by Hexagon.
And of course, we have had the more Potsner's focus, the Mayo focus, and now we're jumping into the Guy focus. And you can notice how things are tweaked a little bit to fit better with the focus of whatever it is that the episode's going to be. So, Guy talking about how the Galaxy Rangers came from a hole, through a hole from another dimension. Dave pulling off that amazing leap into the wall that is still just... I continue to enjoy that stunt. That is probably one of the better stunts that we've done in the show.
Okay. And now, Database Rangers Power Review.
This is actually, for some reason, one of the most popular episodes of all time for Power Reviews. And we've got the okay,
So,
just as the other one.
I've been better.
Do you have enough energy to continue our conversation from before?
I suppose. What else do you want to know?
Well, between getting trapped in the interdimensional void and then dealing with the tears and T. Omega,
So,
I didn't really have a chance to get a handle on this whole being the Phantom Ranger thing. I mean, all I really know about
I love getting into these little
after talking with you, I'm starting to realize that things don't quite add up.
these little deep dives in as each conversation jumps in a little bit further than the last one.
And Alphabet Soup used it to prevent the construction of TerraVenture and the formation of the GSA.
You mean the Galactic Space Alliance?
What? How do you know about the Galactic Space Alliance?
Well, my access to information about the outside world was limited during my upbringing, but
Yeah.
it wasn't completely cut off.
And this is where we managed to acknowledge that
So too, but as we've established, my caretakers weren't exactly forthcoming.
that the lost.
Tell me what?
That's
Oh,
a story for another time, I think.
and yes, that is a story for another time.
Okay,
Episode 93 is at other time for those two.
Let's assume, for the moment, that the events depicted in the show are largely accurate. The Galaxy Rangers had ties to teams dating all the way back to 1993.
So this is that establishment of the split timeline,
Is that fair to say?
I suppose so.
which felt like an appropriate conversation for him to be having with
I think that
having with Guy,
Galaxy Ranger
but
is
didn't
active in
need
your
Mayo
world.
there.
Of course.
Okay. Now, I know that SPD is from the future, but what about Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive?
Just kind of
All active.
laying out the whole
Absolutely.
timeline.
But they were the last ones who were active before I went undercover and came here.
All right then. So the first 17 seasons are all accounted for, but the first 6 overlap between the two worlds. So
There we
we're
go.
not looking at entirely separate universes.
We're looking at a split in the timeline.
Exactly.
Split in
And
the
right
timeline.
Now, the last thing that we know of that the two timelines had in common was Countdown to Destruction, the day of the invasion.
November 20th.
This is where we
1998.
November 20th,
Something
1998.
happened after that day that split the timeline.
And this is that impetus for
That whatever
for
did
what we'll have for Kay's deep dive
Never could have done that.
in episode 68.
It's gonna find out.
Um,
So now,
and of course, we find out that the actual source of the split in the timeline
I'll be fine.
is Dr. K's actions, and that's what drives
if you need
so
anything,
much of
don't be
this
afraid to wake
saga
up.
here.
Okay.
And that was really sort of what I was trying to do with this whole summer saga and with Power Reviews as a whole, is delve into my thoughts on Power Rangers canon and tie it to tie it as deeply as I could to characters. Make it connect to the characters.
What are you doing?
I'm conducting an experiment.
And
You've been up all night.
here we're filling in on
Finish it.
Finish what?
the wireless interdimensional interface portal alignment device.
The what? What do you need a portal device for?
And here we go. And now we're picking back up at the beginning of Mayo.
Biorhythm marker verified.
Now open that door.
And we kind of trim down on little bits of the
Let's
conversation,
just hold on a minute.
just to abbreviate it a little bit.
Hi.
And there are the more Potsners showing up, as we've, these are all the pieces we've seen over and over again. This scene, and then we already saw Mayo go through. Now we see Guy,
That was awesome. How'd you do that?
and
I.
here we're introduced to Master Joe.
Sure.
Is there anything I can help you with, man? Like you've seen
Aaron is another
Fine.
was just another great one-shot character actor.
Well, that's easy. Here at Jungle Karma Pizza.
She was a friend of ours, who's who we've done theater with, and I thought that she'd be able to pull off the sort of surfer dude kind of style of doing the server. And I realized that we hadn't had any female masters in the Paiswa Academy, so I wanted to make sure that
I need to know something.
I wanted to try and play with that.
Power Rangers.
Of course, dude. Who hasn't?
Are they real?
Yeah, of course.
I can't believe it.
Oh man, you're not one of those conspiracy dudes, are you? I can't believe how many people have
And-
one big hoax. 20 years, man. I don't think you landed on the moon either.
No, that's not what I. Your boss.
This-
Is he here? Can I speak with him?
This is also just really fun because it's one of the
Out west at the home office.
tightest connections to the actual
No,
Power
I
Rangers
need to
universe.
go. I need to find.
Hold on, dude.
And this also
Be going
further
anywhere.
establishes that he has a connection
Look,
to
I'll make you a deal.
the
It's a
boss
slow
of
day,
Jungle Karma
so
Pizza.
I'll let you rest up here for a bit. We can share
Um,
a gorilla. And when you're
So
done,
Sean, how did
we'll
Corone
whatever
join the
you
Galaxy Rangers?
like, okay?
Well, it's a split timeline, so she's
I'll
still
sweeten the deal.
she was just
You wanna
in
know
that
about Power
timeline she
Rangers?
joined the Galaxy
I'll tell you a
Rangers.
story.
In the
Before we
alternate
get done
timeline, she
47,
didn't.
right, it's about the Power Rangers
so
Jungle Fury.
She only was able to join the Galaxy Rangers
Lions Rise.
along the I thought that I managed to get past the ads. I mean,
Now,
There
I
we
used to hear news about these guys all the time.
um,
They had these awesome
also
jungle
just
cats
sneaking
here
in
at
there,
Amazon,
we'll have
Jeff
another
Powell,
a number 27 because I always had to sneak in the episode number even if
But
we're
I
not
wanted to
framing
tell
it
you
as an
about
episode.
Spirit animals all the time, so let's come up with some
Yeah, you're right. The only female Peshwa master in Jungle Fury was Master Gwyn, who just, had not been active in a very long time, ostensibly several thousand years. If I understand, if the lore was properly conveyed.
Could use the powers of their ancient masters to summon the elephant, shark, and bat spear rangers. And just like any other ranger team, they had a variety of jumbo-sized Megazords and loved doing kung fu.
So yeah, in the main timeline of in my interpretation of the main timeline, Corone would not have joined the Galaxy Rangers in that main timeline. She joined the Galaxy Rangers in the splintered timeline.
I'm trying to tell a story
in the splintered timeline.
Anyway.
And of course, I'm just randomly voicing the unseen waiter off to the side. As will often happen whenever there's a character whose face you don't see.
Ancient evil rings-empowered baddies that Jellica, the sea overlord, had released from the crystallizer while back.
Ooh, my audio balance on this one was not great.
But instead, they decided to ditch her and team up with Boston, leading into this whole thing with the ancient masters and hero rangers. But none of that really plays into this story. So RJ decided to let Casey show off his teaching.
I don't know why my audio balance was so off on that one scene. It's been a while since I've seen the episode, obviously, because usually after I create it, I don't tend to rewatch it later. I just keep moving on to the next episode. And that's something that's easy to forget when people are working on television or creating a show. They don't often have much chance for reflection on previous episodes once they're moved on to the next one.
Let's call him Jimmy. He spotted the Rangers doing their training thing and decided to tell all the other kids about it in his kung fu class later that day. Unfortunately, they didn't believe him, saying things like, actually, I'm pretty sure that role might already be taken. When Casey showed up to teach the class,
I do love Guy's deadpan. Like, Dave does great deadpan. And yes, the Nerd Ranger in this context would, of course, be Database.
So later, when he's jogging with RJ, who happened to be his master, by the way, in case I hadn't mentioned that, you do. He asked him about it, and the wise wolf ranger offered the sage advice.
But I really enjoy playing around with all the different ways that you could sort of review an episode. In this case, it's a lot more of a casual recap of an episode from somebody telling it like it's a story of, oh, I heard this from a friend of a friend of a friend. Much like how previously with Quandary it was as if it were some grand tale of legends. Welcome, Chris. Good evening. But the implication that I do, I'll get into Guy's connection to Jungle Fury a little bit more later. But again, I like that we were able to set things up with the tribute episodes of Super Mega Force to line up with the Summer Saga. Because I didn't know which episodes were going to be which when taking care of the classic episodes during year one. So the fact that, Wild Force, Mystic Force, Jungle Fury, were all episodes that had tributes in the beginning of Super Mega Force that we could then revisit during the Summer Saga was extremely fortuitous, because these were the 3 seasons that we hadn't had time to explore during year one. Or during year one, or during the first 3 episodes of year 2. So the fact that it lined up, so well was remarkable. There were a number of bits where the story and the pacing of Megaforce and Super Megaforce ended up panning out really well for us. As we'll later see with the RPM tribute episode that just works perfectly with the whole Venjix arc. that was just a beautiful suit. The Griffin Phantom Beast King suit.
That's a lot of shiny gold.
Yeah, it seemed to be that color scheme. I bet they were all autumns. Anyway, Casey tried to keep
And I just love playing with, you know, playing with Master Gel just being a total hippie. And as we just established with her, you know, readjusting Guy's shoulder, she has a lot of skill with pressure points, which will pay off for Guy later when he needs to go up against Evil Database, as well as when he needs to escape from Alphabet Soup.
But Casey caught up to him later to tell him that it's the bully's words that were beating him, not his fighting. And that he managed to spot something else during the fight. He said, you can tell a lot about a person by their animal spirit. You, for instance, I bet you have the spirit of a honey badger.
I really don't care.
Later, he met up with his
And of course, I had to play around with that meme. I guessed around. I guessed for a bit which would be the best animal spirit for Guy, and considering how often Guy is just along the lines of I do not care, Honey Badger just seemed perfect. So no, we did not film this in an actual pizza place. Filming this episode actually went amazingly smoothly, especially compared to how difficult some of the other episodes were. You know, obviously the previous episode was all filming out in the woods, but this one, we filmed it basically all in one night. This was at our college campus. There was just this brick wall in like a basement area, just right across from the campus radio station. And we grabbed a table from outside the lecture halls upstairs. I grabbed a pair of benches from another location near a freight elevator. We popped everything into the freight elevator, brought it downstairs, hauled it all over here, put it in place, taped up some Christmas lights that I had brought along with me, filmed it all. This was basically, we got out of work, went down there, moved everything down there, shot for like 2-3 hours. We were out of there by 9 o'clock, and we had to put all the furniture back again. That was just such a tight shoot, where we just came in, grabbed everything, brought it all down, sat down, shot everything from one angle, shot everything from another angle. That's just like, I think that was just a cup of leaves for the herbs. And then we were able to clear out very quickly as well. It's always great when you can have an economy of shots, which happens to be the case in this one, where it's just very much, okay, we're fixed on Guy, we're going to shoot everything with Guy right there. Okay, we're fixed on Master Gel, we shoot everything with Master Gel right there. Okay, we have one shot that's up here, we'll shoot just a few things up there for Master Gel to help fix up Guy. And so it's just like 1, 2, 3, and that's like the entirety of the review section. And then we had to film the little bit where she pops out from behind the counter, where I found like a random like kitchen cabinet kind of thing that was, it's like one of those like commercial kitchen cabinet counter things that I wheeled in from storage. I found like a random panini press in storage that I popped on top of it. There's always like all sorts of random things just laying around in various corners of the college. And here, once again, we're using, of course, the Thrilla Gorilla Pizza, which, considering when things were shot, that might actually be leftover from the first one, but I don't think it is. I don't think those are leftovers from the first one. I think I did get a second pizza for that one. What did you think?
Well, it's not exactly what I was expecting. What do you mean? In most of these
story as the hero is fully recovered at the end. But here, not only did he remain weakened all the way through, his opponents grew even stronger as a result. Sometimes that's just how it happens.
This felt like a very appropriate episode for Guy to kind of bounce back from a really devastating loss against T Omega. Like, he was completely outmatched, and he was very, very injured. Fortunately, he was able to recover here. But one of the things with one of the things with all of this is that we have that slow, steady recovery. But I knew that it was still going to be a little bit quicker than made sense. But I also knew that it's just part of how Jungle Fury always operated, so it made sense in the context of the episode they were reviewing. Like, the Rangers always would learn the new technique in an afternoon. That would be how it was every time they learned a new technique. It was actually one of my issues with Jungle Fury, was that they would learn all new techniques in a day, whereas in real life, it takes you years to master something. So I figured that I would still make use of it because it had been established, even if it was something that kind of irked me. How old was I when Jungle Fury aired? That would have been 2008. So yeah, I was about 23, 22, 23. Oh, and there goes me, since I was being the server there. And she was waiting for him to go. To red and blue. Okay. And I loved revisiting this. So, remember at the beginning of Jungle Fury, when RJ says that a friend of a friend, etc., etc., helped him tap into the Morphin Grid? That's Guy. Guy is the friend who helped RJ tap into the Morphin Grid to create the Jungle Fury Power Rangers. That is that is sort of the implication of this little reveal here.
I can even get a team to pick you up by nightfall. I just can't believe I'm really back. But don't get too excited. I've been hearing some bad mojo coming down the grapevine. They're saying that a battle is coming. One unlike anything this world has ever seen.
And this was before.
People have been doing a good job to keep it quiet.
This was obviously before Legendary Battle premiered. I was just kind of building it up and hyping it up.
Yes, you're right. Then follow me.
There we go.
What do you call you, by the way? My friends call me Guy. Well, Guy, it is awesome to meet you. If you call me Master Joe. So, excited? Okay.
And there we go. Guy and Master Joe. I'm still not quite sure exactly what it is about this episode that led to it being one of the most watched. Like, this is, I think, the fourth most watched episode of the series. And I'm not entirely sure why. I like it. I like the way it came out. I feel like it is a good, solid episode with a good, solid story. But it's just kind of fascinating, because it's like, there's the first episode. There's the episode where Database is revealed as the Phantom Ranger. There's Legacy of Power, which is also just a very well-watched episode, I'm assuming connecting to the subject of review. And then there's Tigers Fall, Lions Rise. So I'm not sure if it's just that Guy is a very popular character, or Jungle Fury is a popular season, or if people searched for the episode and saw the length of this one and just happened to think that it was the actual episode they were about to watch. I have no idea. But this one is one of the most popular episodes of Power Reviews of all time. And I think it is a nice, sweet little story that works very well as sort of a standalone look at what the show is about. Connecting to the larger Power Rangers universe while still being very character driven. Creating those parallels between the subject of review and the characters engaging in the review. And yeah, the timeline stuff at the beginning, that is true. That is probably one of the biggest, like, sort of my headcanon info dumps out of any episode. So if people are confused by the split timeline, this would be a good episode to check out to get caught up on that. Really? I'm glad to hear you enjoy it so much. So Jenny, what is it about this episode that gets it playing in the background, in your background, twice a week? I must know, because it's really one of those things where, like, there's so many episodes that I enjoy and I'm proud of, but you never really know which is just going to, like, unexpectedly land with people, like this one happened to be. And yeah, it's the 5th most popular video on the channel. It's the 4th most popular Power Reviews episode, with the most popular video of the channel, of course, being Power Rangers Grid Defenses, being the big fan film project. Which, I mean, I would love to be able to do another one, project like that someday when Power Reviews is over, maybe. And I've had some serious time to recover from the exhaustion of working on this series. It's definitely been a massive undertaking. But this one was just a nice, really smooth shoot. Dave was good to work with on this. Aaron was good to work with on this. The stuff that took place in the apartment, we basically shot around the same time that we shot we basically shot, I think, all of the apartment conversations at once, and then we just picked a night to head down to the college to film everything at Jungle Karma. But yeah, this was, a lot of times with Guy, he plays a lot of his emotions very close to the vest. And even though he's still being very standoffish in this episode for most of the episode, a lot of his deeper emotions do just slowly come through in little bits and pieces. As Master Gel just slowly wears down his defenses, and helps him connect to what he wants to, what he's looking for and what he wants. Plus, there's the bit of irony that he does actually make it home in this episode, and then gets suddenly pulled away as soon as his training is done, before he has a chance to meet back up with the rest of Hexagon. Chris, I've caught glimpses of the trailer. I've decided to wait until the actual episode's premiere before watching the new opening visuals and everything, and just let myself go in unspoiled, as best as I can. But some pieces I have seen glimpses of and seen screenshots of on, like, Twitter and whatnot. So yeah, and then of course, I had the banana pizza on standby and everything. Although I think Guy is the only one who actually has to take a bite of it this time. So I really can't remember if this was actually, like, leftover from, like, refrigerated leftover from the Dr. C episode. But I think it had already been a few months, so it wouldn't have been at this time, because the episodes weren't coming out close enough at this stage for it to really make sense to keep those leftovers for that long. But one nice thing is that because you can only see part of the pizza at any given time, You could have a slice and then I could rotate it and then have that slice again. And just keep that whichever part of the pizza has been bitten into just kind of hidden throughout. And that's the fact that it is a Thrilla Gorilla pizza is just another point of connection to episode 61 and the Spirit of the Tiger Super Mega Force review. I have had it on rare occasion. I have had it on rare occasion. I should try it again. But yes, so since this was the episode that really broke down the nature of the split timeline and established the split timeline, I'm curious if you guys have any questions about that, because I know that that's been a point of confusion for a lot of people. Because a lot of people see Power Reviews and Guy coming from a version of the Power Rangers universe where Lost Galaxy didn't happen, and think that that's intended to be a separate universe from the main timeline in the show. But the intent is that the timeline without Lost Galaxy is the main timeline. And it's just my interpretation that Lost Galaxy is from the RPM timeline, which is a splintered time, which is well, not exactly a splintered timeline, but sort of a remnant timeline. Basically, as we dig into a little bit more in these bits and pieces, as all those puzzle pieces get dropped throughout the rest of the show, the idea is that the original timeline included Lost Galaxy and RPM. So after Power Rangers in Space, we then had Lost Galaxy. The Earth colony was established on Miranoi, which I wanted to do to sort of lessen the devastation of RPM, to give humanity a chance of having survived beyond the stars, as well as using the events of Lost Galaxy, specifically Power and Pink, to establish a version of Hexagon in line with the versions of Hexagon that have been pitched in the past. With Hexagon being what was destroyed by Venjix, thus taking out all the Power Rangers. So that was always my interpretation of the original timeline. And then after RPM, Dr. K was able to travel back in time, grab her younger self away from the Alphabet Soup agents, thus establishing who, and then that younger version became K Alpha in the Void, and we then had Alphabet Soup begin their rift experiments as a result of Dr. K's actions. And the discovery of the rift prevented the establishment of Terra Venture and the GSA, and instead led to the creation of Lightspeed Rescue instead as an Earth Defense Force, and then the rest of the Power Rangers universe continued on that timeline. So that's always been that's always been my interpretation of the timeline since I developed it for Power Reviews. I'm glad to hear that Guy is such a favorite character for you. And the pizza, of course. Yeah, I've had, you're not the only one who's told me before that Guy is their favorite character, and it's always delightful to hear, because you never know who's going to be someone's favorite. Like, I know for some people, like, the Morpotsners are their favorite. I've had several people say Guy is their favorite. I'm sure everyone has their own favorite characters. Like, I love the Morpotsners, and I love Dr. C for just the wackiness of writing them. And I've just tried to give every character just as much depth as I can reasonably squeeze into a 100-episode review show. So I've tried to make sure to give Guy that extra depth, and Mayo that extra depth, and the more Potsners, and even Dr. C, and R Beta get their backstories in episode 87. And we're starting to get, and we've been seeing more depth out of even the second secretary in year 3. So I try to give all of these characters, their own breadth of emotion, origins, motivations, quirks, strengths. Oh no, that's fine. Okay, so maybe so Jenny, maybe you're the reason that this one has so many views. So thank you for that. All right. So I know that it's getting a little late. It's been interesting seeing how people have just sort of fallen in love with this episode, and fallen in love with Guy. Like and knowing Dave, you are right to fall in love with Guy. Dave is a wonderful person, and I'm so glad that his character gets so much love. And I'm glad that I was able to sort of have this arc for Guy for year 2, where he's becoming more of a friend to Database, and he's trying to still stay active in the action, but suddenly getting outmatched, and then learning to kind of pick himself up and grow from that, and take on slowly more and more of a leader role by the end of year 2, when he has the sort of heart-to-heart with R Alpha and R Beta. And we have that whole big twist of that little shift in the dynamic for Alphabet Soup right at the end of year 2 with the year 2 finale, which of course is just such a massive thing. It is sad that the Summer Saga was so late in the year at this stage. This was, things just kind of slowly slipping more and more and more as I tried to keep up with the pace of things. At this point, Super Mega Force had already returned, and I was just trying to get through these 5 episodes as quickly as I could, as much as I loved playing with this whole experiment of the storyline. And then next week we get a very fun episode that was an interesting challenge. I'll put it that way. The live episode that we'll be looking at next time with the Power Morphicon episode is probably one of the ones that I've shown to people the most often in terms of like the opening sequence, and all of that. Yeah, he keeps claiming he doesn't care, but he's always there. You can always rely on Guy. But yeah, and all of this in the Summer Saga is just sort of slowly building up and leading up to the reveal of what Dr. K did in episode 68 with the journey inside Dr. K's mind. So we get to finally see what happened overnight that led to her constructing the WePad. Obviously, another great acronym experimental device, as I keep having her do. So I think it's a good place to wrap it up. Next time I see you all, I should have, knock on wood, a trailer out for episode 96. I'm certainly hoping so. It's going to be a long night of editing. It's going to be a long week of editing. But hopefully, with the added productivity I'll be able to gain from being home for a week, and still having RJ down in daycare for 3 of those days, I'm hoping that'll allow me to make up for the lost ground and get all caught up and get the editing to where it needs to be for the premiere of 96, which is going to be a pretty crazy episode. If you want to talk about lore drops, you want to talk about reveals, you want to talk about action, 96 is going to have all of that. So I hope that one pays off and lives up to the hype that we're starting the hype. Get hyped for 96 if you are not already. The reveal on that will be coming soon, and the reveals in 96 will be coming fast and furious there. So, all that said, let us close things out with our remaining 3 equally non-controversial phrases. So, number 1, say it with me, chat. Love is love. Number 2, say it with me, chat. Trans rights are human rights. And number 3, say it with me, chat. Robots are cool, even when their brains are being baffled by a split timeline that makes no sense to anyone except the creator. So, thank you all again for joining me, and until next time, farewell, Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.